This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, and welcome back to Realistic Sustainability Educational Shorts. This one's probably written just for me, but I think it works in everybody's life. On this short, I want to talk about something I fight on a regular basis, and that's over-engineering. My mind tends to go to these elaborate schemes every single time I have a small problem. I think it came from engineering school, where everything had to be grandiose. There was always this who did it better scenario. But in most cases, better is quite often simpler. Not the most elaborate thing that you can design, but to solve the problem with the least. That's where over-engineering really kind of happens. That's where engineering kind of fails us every once in a while. For me, it was an aha moment at the University of Michigan when I moved from mechanical engineering to energy and sustainable systems, where Dr. Kaufman once called me out because he was talking about how to keep organic material out of drainage water on the side of roads. And here I am immediately trying to design ways, create physical blocks, and use physics to figure out how can I do that. When he said, just don't let the water get to the road. Limit opportunities for organic waste to get to the road. Why do you keep trying to reinvent some kind of massive thing when all you have to do is stop drainage? Well, he was right. If you keep the water on the property, it's even better for the property, and I don't drain everything over there. But I never thought of that. So that's why I want to have this short, to remind all of us about over-engineering, not buying things that are over-engineered, but only what we need. And a little later, it should hit home for all of us too. Over-engineering is the act of designing a product or a process in the most complicated manner. You've seen it before. Perfectly functional items on a store shelf, but directly to the left of it, the super fancy version, where it has all kinds of bells and whistles that don't necessarily make it a better product. It's just designed to make you feel like you're getting more. There's 8 kinds of over-engineering. 1, assumption, adding unneeded or irrelevant tech. Do we really need Bluetooth speakers in our toilet? Probably not. There's a ton of stuff out there that is over-engineered in this manner. They just add a few more options and call it better. Doesn't do the job better. It just has more stuff. Number 2, grand design. And that's what I talked about before. Going bigger, I almost said it. Usually you put going bigger and going better together, but that's not necessarily true. Design should be based on need. Just making a bigger one is just bigger, not necessarily better. And it's certainly using more material. Number 3, this goes with it. Bigger is better. Just purely scaling up. See, when you go grandiose design, you're adding all these extra pretties and different kinds of paint, or, this here is paint from another country, or that's what makes it better. Bigger is better is just simply taking something and scaling it up. Now it's bigger. Is it better? Well, here in Michigan, we have the Mackinac Bridge. If the Mackinac Bridge was twice as long, would it be better? No, it would just kind of cover land too. Number 4, low value features. This is what I was talking about earlier, where you just add something to add it because you can. I joked and said adding Bluetooth to the toilet. What if you were adding pencils and pens in a little compartment? Is that really all that helpful? Probably not. It's this act of consistently adding something that may not even be relevant to the design. Here's one of my problems. Number 5, overthinking. I get lost in analysis, and people do all the time. You know how many great and wonderful inventions just never make it out because people can't stop over-analyzing every detail? Nick once picked on me that I came up with all kinds of great ideas for businesses, but my over-analyzation of it would actually talk me out of it. Well, I'm glad he said it. That's why we ended up with Dabble. I'm just kind of winging it in some cases, but you have to. If you overanalyze everything, you're paralyzed in your thought. Lazy complexity, that's just an engineering where they just take a known good item. even though maybe it's not what would work best, and just use that technology. Instead of kind of creating the perfect technology for what they're designing, they just take off the shelf designs from other places and add it to their item. It's lazy. And sometimes it creates complexity that doesn't need to be there. I've also seen this a lot. Number 7, the big mud ball. It's when you start off with something, but then you add to it and you add to it and you add to it, and it creates this massive stack of complexity. It's like building a home one room at a time every year. It just becomes fragile and weak. And that is not the greatest way to do a design. Or, and again, I've been working on this one myself, over control. Controlling every detail that everyone does is crippling to a project. So when they're doing that, what they're doing is they're putting no faith in others, as if I'm the only one who knows anything. And I've been guilty of it myself. So when you look at over designing, there's a lot of things that exist out there that are over designed. Toothbrushes. There's thousands of different styles of toothbrushes. How many of them are actually better? If one stood out head and shoulders above the rest, it would be the only design. But because we don't have one design, we have tons of designs that all work the same. Some just look better or have different colors or what looks to be an interesting design to make things better. Same thing with like putters, golf clubs. If there was one dominant putter, everybody would have it and they would only make one. But it's not true. We have different shapes, different sizes, different weights, all these different things that are preferences. I may say this one's the best, but it's the best for me. None of them are designed superior. We don't need complexity in everything we do. We don't need 105 steps on a Roof Goldberg machine to turn off the light. We just need simplified systems. And that's where sustainability ties in. The more complex we make things, the more expensive and the more material we use. So when we look at a product, we want to go with something that just simply works. Not works plus these 6 things, because you only had one need. You don't need to fill needs that weren't there. I like this topic because there's almost always a cheaper solution. If you've read the Greening Your Life book, there's a portion in there where a city comes together because their lake has overgrown with algae and it's suffocating out the fun game fish. Well, they tend to just pile more stuff into the lake to counteract it instead of searching for the simplified thing that caused it. If you stop fertilization of lawns and letting that run into the lake, then you're going to stop overgrowth. Instead of spending all this money trying to manufacture your way out of a problem that you manufactured your way into. Occam's razor. Entities should not be multiplied beyond necessity. Or a better way to say it, if there's an event with 2 possible explanations, the explanation that requires the fewest assumptions is usually correct. Simplify. Simplify everything, from things you make to things you do to things you think. Over-engineering in my field is a failure of understanding biomimicry or lessons learned. It's all bells and whistles trying to use marketing to get people to buy things that they don't necessarily need. And for the rest of us, over-engineering is that overthinking, overdoing, not over-caring. Caring is good. But there's a lot of things we do in life that hurt us. We worry about things or solve problems that aren't problems yet. We have to slow down and simplify our life, just like engineering should be simplifying their designs. Over-engineering is the cornerstone of waste in corporate worlds and in our residential world. We are not all engineers, but most of us overanalyze, overworry. Don't. Take the steps to shrink down. Take those steps to simplify. And I promise you, you will waste less. Less time, less worry. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this short. If you did, share it with a friend or on social media. If you want to help realistic sustainability a bit more, become a monthly supporter or sustainer on the Anchor hosting site. You can also find that on the Greening Your Life webpage. Or just simply leave a 5-star review. It doesn't matter which podcast platform you're on, leave us a message. I always get alerted, and it lets me know. It doesn't matter which platform it's on. It's nice to see, but the more interaction we have, the more it tricks those search engines into showing people that we're there. And we do appreciate it. So thank you again to all of you who support realistic sustainability. And remember, we're just trying to get a little better each day. Little bit, big bit. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Rob, and I'm the host of The Curated Culture, a weekly podcast dedicated to dissecting the latest and greatest news from around the world of tech and pop culture. Now, we all know the internet can be a busy, noisy place, so let us calm that noise for you. Join us as we discuss the latest and greatest topics from the people and sources that matter most. Check us out every Thursday as we jump into fresh, original content, new interviews, and a host of other subjects that we know you'll find interesting. So jump in to whatever your favorite podcast app is and search The Curated Culture. Make sure you subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. And in the meantime, we'll catch y'all on the air.